Hey guys, I'm here with the beautiful Yo from How to Cake It, who is an absolute legend, frankly.
Well, thank you.
Well, it's true.
As are you.
I mean, look, let's not try and out-legend each other.
No.
The fact is, you're here in the UK and you so kindly said, hey, let's hook up and do something. And I thought, since we've both got books out, we better do a cake swap.
Absolutely.
So
I think we should bake.
Right, we absolutely should bake. So you can see over on How to Cake It our Ferrero Rocher collab, which is from the CRUMBS and DOILIES book. Look, they look just like the picture.
They do. We did a good job.
We really did a good job. If you want to see that, head over to Yo's channel, and we'll put the link down there. But today, well, actually not today, in the past,
in the very recent past,
I've baked your chocolate hazelnut layer cake because, you know, Ferrero Rocher needs a friend, and this is basically like it's...
They're best friends.
They are, they're like
They're
cousins.
BFFs,
yeah.
really.
This is me doing that, and you're here, but you're not here in the past, which is a real shame.
I'm not here yet, but Gemma's gonna make this cake.
Have you been here? I'm so confused about the timeline here, but the fact is you're gonna see us, or me, make Yo's amazing chocolate and hazelnut cake right now. Let's crack on with Yo's amazing chocolate and hazelnut cake from her brilliant book, Layer Up. It's a fantastic book with loads of other cakes in there, built of loads of cool elements that you can just mix and match if you like. But this one is delicious and it's one of my favorite flavor combos. So it starts with a chocolate sponge, and I've already made those. They're cooling down over here, and it was really simple to make. I began by pouring some just boiled water over my cocoa powder and whisking it up to make sure there was no lumps, and then I set that to one side. Then I sifted my flour together with some salt, bicarbonate of soda and baking powder, and then set that to one side as well. Then in the bowl of a mixer, I beat together my soft butter and caster sugar for a few minutes, about 8 to 10 minutes, until it was slightly pale and fluffy. Next up, I added my eggs, 2 at a time, and I beat really well after each addition just to make sure it was all very well incorporated. I made sure I gave the bowl a little scrape down halfway through just to make sure I wasn't missing any bits. And then it was time to add the flour mixture. So I add the flour in 4 parts, alternating with the cocoa mixture in 3 parts. So dry, wet, and so on. And I didn't want to overbeat this, so I only beat it until it was just incorporated before I added the next lot. Once all the ingredients were mixed and smooth, I divided the batter evenly between 3 tins, which I'd greased and lined, and then I baked them all at 175 degrees C, fan-assisted oven, for 30 to 40 minutes. You want to stick a skewer in the middle, and if it comes out clean, it is ready to roll. And then just leave them to cool completely, and then you can start the next bit. Now, this cake is made up of a whole load of different layers, and 2 of those layers are a really tasty hazelnut meringue, which is actually super simple to make. So I'm gonna start by preparing my tins. I have 2 8-inch tins here, and I've cut 2 rounds for the bottoms, and then I wanna also line the sides. So I've got these strips as well. I'm gonna use my cake release spray, but you could use just a small amount of butter or oil. So when your tins are greased and lined, you can get on with making everything. But the first thing to do, as always with meringues, is to make sure all your equipment is grease-free. So I always just use a bit of vinegar on my balloon whisk, in the bowl, and anything else I'm putting egg whites into. And then you can separate your eggs. I like to do this into a bowl first, just to make sure I don't get any yolks in, because any yolk or any grease at all will stop your egg whites from whipping up. So it's best just to be on the safe side. So when you're happy that your egg white is clean, you can put it in the bowl like this. This meringue is actually a bit unusual because it mixes the egg white and the sugar together at the same time, which I've never done, but actually it works really well. So once your egg whites are in, you can put your sugar straight in and then get it mixing on a high speed, medium to high, and then just let it go for 8 to 10 minutes until it's completely tripled in volume and it's glossy and white. Now, while your meringue is whipping up into a whippy, fluffy frenzy, I'm going to mix the additions together, because obviously meringue is not very tasty. Well, it's tasty, but it's not very flavorful. And we need to pack this full of hazelnut flavor. So we've got some hazelnutty goodness going on in the form, mainly, of these things, which are literally my new favorite thing. They're hazelnut cream-filled wafers, and I'm not joking when I say I only just discovered these. I can't actually believe it. And I opened the packet for the first time, and I must have eaten about 8 in one go because they're so good. So these are what you want, and these are going to form the kind of crispy delight in your mouth. So chop those up into small pieces and then put them into a bowl along with some chopped hazelnuts, some ground hazelnuts, and then 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and give it a little mix. And that looks pretty ready. As you can see, it is, oh my goodness, it's so whipped and fluffy. We've got the stiff peaks going on here. That is just right. So you want to add all your delicious hazelnut bits and bobs into the meringue and give it a really good stir. And then divide it between your 2 prepared tins as evenly as possible, and then level it off with a palette knife. And when they're nice and level, you can bake them at 140 degrees C, fan-assisted oven for 40 to 50 minutes. Right, it's time to start building this cake up. Now, I have made Yo's famous simple syrup. She very kindly sent this amazing little squeeze bottle over, because I've actually always wanted one. They're really quite cool. And it's so super simple to make simple syrup, as you'd imagine. All you need to do is start with 240 grams of water in a saucepan, and then add 225 grams of caster sugar, and then set it over a medium heat until it begins to bubble away and has just come to the boil. And once that happens, take it off the heat, give it a little stir to make sure all of the sugar has dissolved, and then you just leave that to cool and you pour it into your bottle, or if you don't have one of these, you can just use a spoon to distribute your simple syrup, but I'm going to use my little squeeze because I've been dying to do it. Right, here we go. So just lightly soak all your sponges with your simple syrup. Don't put too much on, you don't want it to go soggy, but also don't be too shy with it. Wow, these cakes are soaked. They're soaking. Now, the next bit is the very delicious chocolate and hazelnut buttercream, which is absolutely luscious. It's a Swiss meringue buttercream, and it is so tasty. And I just made this by melting my chocolate and then setting it aside to cool. Then in a heat-proof bowl, I put my caster sugar, some cream of tartar, and some salt, along with my egg whites. Gave it a little whisk to combine it all before putting it onto a saucepan over some simmering water. Then I kept warming that over a medium heat, stirring it constantly with the whisk until all the sugar had dissolved. I just checked this by rubbing it between my thumb and my forefinger. Once it was ready, I transferred the mixture to a bowl of a stand mixer fitted with my balloon whisk. Make sure you clean it first with your vinegar. And I got that whisking on a high speed for a few minutes until it was thick, white and glossy, and the bowl was cool to the touch. That takes about 8 to 10 minutes. This is important because the next thing to do is to add the butter, and you don't want the mixture to be too warm when it goes in, otherwise it will melt the butter and go all runny and split. So I added the butter just a nugget at a time, bit by bit, while the mixer was whipping around. And while you're doing this, if it looks like it's beginning to split, just keep going, it should come together. Once all my butter was in, my chocolate was just cool enough, so I added that into the bowl along with some chocolate and hazelnut spread and gave that another minute or 2 of whisking just to make sure it was all whippy and combined. And here it is, absolutely gorgeous. Now I've got some in a bowl and I've got some in a piping bag with a round tip nozzle on as well, just for some layers to be a little bit neater than the other. Not that it's all gonna be neat, obviously, but this will just make it a bit easier. So to start with, just stick your first layer of sponge on with a little bit of buttercream. Now onto the first layer, you wanna put a dollop of your delicious chocolate and hazelnut Swiss, and then just level it out with a palette knife just to the edges. And then Yo likes to tidy up her edges as she goes. So just with another palette knife or a cake scraper, just smooth those edges out a little. The next layer is one of our lovely hazelnut meringue rounds. So gently pick it up, because obviously these are quite fragile, and pop it right on top. Ooh, that already looks amazing. Should we just leave it there? No, there's more to do. So the next layer is going to be a little fence of buttercream, and that is why I've got it in a piping bag with a round nozzle on. So I'm just going to pipe a fence all around the edge. And then you want to fill that hole with some lovely chocolate and hazelnut spread, which like I've got here, look at that. So that goes all into the middle, and then you want to level that off with a palette knife as well. This is going to be the most decadent cake I've eaten in a long time. Right, next bit is another layer of sponge, so that'll be the middle layer. So gently pick up your sponge, pop it right on top of all of that jazz. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about eating this cake. The next layer is going to be a layer of wafers, but we need to stick them on with some of that lovely buttercream. So just go ahead and put a thin layer of that onto that sponge layer and level it off with a palette knife. With the hazelnut wafers, we're not going to just put them in like this because this isn't going to work for a round cake, guys, obviously. So what I'm going to do is cut them diagonally in half to make little triangles, which we can then just pop around the edges. Obviously, we've got a little bit of unevenness going on here, but that's okay because that's what buttercream's for. So just fill any holes and just spread a little bit of buttercream over the top just to fill in any gaps. And then just give your sides a little wipe as well, just to keep those from bulging out. We will go round this later at the end, but this will just help to keep it straight. So next, get your last sponge, pop it on the top. Another layer of buttercream, which you can spread out as well. Your last bit of meringue round on top. Oh, it's light as a feather. Just pop that right in the middle. Oh my gosh, it's the perfect crown. But we do need to do something about these sides because they're a little bit all over the place. So we're not going to ice the top, obviously, because that's already pretty cool. We're going to just give it a light coating of the buttercream just around the outside, almost like a naked cake. This is looking so good, but I think it needs a little crown because it's kind of flat right now. And so I have one of my favorite treats, the Ferrero Rocher, the king of the Christmas treat, I think. I'm just gonna stick these on with a little bit of buttercream. And then one final one for the top. And there it is, the finished chocolate and hazelnut cake. I reckon this is going to be delicious. Moist, crispy, crunchy. I cannot wait. Well, I really enjoyed making this cake and I can't wait to crack it open and share it with the team. So don't forget, you can get your hands on a copy of Layer Up at all good bookstores now. And you can see the collab I did with Yolanda over on How to Cake It. We did our Ferrero Rocher cupcake, which is from our new book, which is now out. Finally, guys, it's finally here. So check that out, buy the book, keep coming back, subscribe, like, all of those things. Make sure you tag Cupcake Jemma using hashtag Cupcake Jemma and Layer Up Cakes, hashtag Layer Up Cakes if you bake this cake as well. And we will see you next week. Bye.